What's happening? Benton here. Putting on my shoes and go step out into that humidity and have a little walkabout. Nothing like yesterday. I don't expect. I'm on the StreamYard today, so unlike yesterday, I will actually be able to read the comments. Gotten lazy. Historically, I would at least go for a walk pretty much every day. And that's fallen by the wayside. What's up, Chuck? Good to see you, bro. Hope everything's good over your way. Let me hustle up and get out of here before I wake everybody up. All right. I'll turn the cam on in a moment when I get out of the door here. All right, where is my find my piece here? Oh, dude, this fanny pack is as small as it'll get. I'm gonna have to get some kind of holster, I guess. I might start doing some prepared videos now that I can go to the library and upload. It's nice to have that option, right? All right, here we go. Got everything. Oh, I have my camera turned around. How about that? Try to get a better angle today. Oh, it may be raining, actually. Count on this. Yeah, I noticed, I watched back some of yesterday's walkabout. So I could, oh, we got lightning in the area. Yeah, so we may not be able to go too far. It's pretty good out here. Let's see. Check out that lightning back there. Oh, yeah, I'm getting rained on. What a doofus. Oh, man. Check the weather, old man. What kind of old man don't know the weather report? Yeah, instead of shooting up my nose the whole time, try to like this. That's pretty dope. Might have to stand right here and talk. I'm looking for some shelter I can duck under if I need to. Fucking cool. It's crazy lightning recently. I was wishing I could capture it for you folks. What's my name with this? Wow. All right. Where's the shelter? I don't know. Kind of fun to just take some chances. It reminds me of homelessness, though, because in homelessness, getting rained on is a complete disaster. So what would happen is sometimes, like I might go to the library all day, but then when I would try to leave, there would be a rainstorm. I would have to just like stay there after the place closed, like an hour or whatever, wait for it to quit raining. And I can remember spending like 48 hours under a tarp in Austin. Just finding a place to string up a tarp can be problematic out there. That's wild, man. Look at that friggin' light show, man. Cool. And that was 48 hours under a tarp, and they had predicted this gigantic storm. Now, there was a storm, but it wasn't anything too crazy. After that, that's when I took my ass to the Sally. So, whoa, wow, Salvation Army. Yeah. Head out of the way, Bubba. Be good practice for the old camera, you know, being a cameraman. No, man, it's really not feeling like it's going to rain. It's like no humidity right now, and typically, if it's not actually raining, but it's going to rain, it's usually pretty humid. So I think that might have been, it might have already happened. What's up, Mr. Baxter? Up and at 'em, that's right. Yeah, I'm trying to get a little better with my camera work. One moment, please. I'm sure determined persons could pretty much figure out what motel I'm staying in. Let's not make it easy on them. What the hell, man? StreamYard's got some weird settings. Fuck, dude. Have to have the cam on to switch the cam. Bizarre. What up, Yellow Cake Maker? What up, Glyph? Watching from Italy, near Venice. Fantastic. I've spoken about it before that, you know, before the fake pandemic, I had was not in any hurry to visit Europe. I just assumed that it would happen eventually, especially when I went into truck driving and could then afford it. But boy, I got to tell you, man, I can't give advice to anybody, but in retrospect, and it's not a regret so much, just my assumption that I had all the time in the world. Now, anytime I mention this subject, people immediately, not everybody, but folks loop into problem solving and start telling me all the ways I can go to Europe. Well, I'm not going on a boat and I'm not getting on a plane, so I don't know what to tell you. You know, and this is what I mean about the cognitive stuff, is that I cannot remember the word for teleportation. That's right. Unless I can teleport there, unfortunately, I will not be visiting Europe. Yeah, good to see you from Italy, sir. Thanks for listening to, or sir or madam, rather. Thanks for listening to my crazy mouth. Can't go too far from the clubhouse here. I don't want to risk getting soaked or getting stuck. And stupid fucking StreamYard. Hang on. Let's get this camera fixed. All right, fuck it. Here we go. Here we go. You can grab a chalupa over there. Not that you can read that sign. Good old Taco Bell. What do we want to see? My grape, or do you want to see what's ahead? But of course, I like to go out in the darkness. Let's keep it like this so we can see the lightning. How about that? Hey, yeah, of course you can. Musical's a secret. Yeah. Well, and whenever I finally got ex-wife number 2 to come be homeless with me and, you know, live like a gypsy, that's what she called it, living like a gypsy and vagabonding. She was a smoker, and she was such a kind-hearted person. She had a lot of trouble telling people no. And then we didn't have a lot of money, obviously, living that lifestyle, especially when she was still on the Pall Mall Light 100. And man, I really had to work with her to tell people no. Otherwise, instead of 1 pack a day, it's like a pack and a half we're paying for. And meanwhile, some of these people, man, they just go around asking everybody for cigarettes. They've got cigarettes. They just ask everybody they see. Like, that's a real thing. So, and if anybody, here's a trick, man. If you can tell somebody's about to hit you up for something, and, you know, it can be uncomfortable. sometimes we can feel, I don't suffer from this, but I think a lot of folks, they can feel, put on the spot and, have some sort of regard for another human and, have to listen to their sob story. And then at the end, give some sort of excuse. Here's what you do. As soon as you can tell they're about to launch into some sort of asking you for something, just start doing this. Just a subtle shake of the head. It's a very strong, subtle psychological signal, and that really helps. So as soon as somebody, if I know I'm just going to say no, which I almost always do if somebody comes up and asks me, and I'm damn sure not pulling my wallet out of my pocket with cash in it in front of somebody that's asking me for money, I might dip around the corner, decide how much. Now, I'm saying after they asked me. I gave the guy $5 the other day, but he didn't say shit to me. But I might, if they've asked for it and I want to help them out, I might dip around the corner, get whatever cash I'm going to give them, and then, have that in my pocket. But we're not pulling the wallet out. That's a good way to get robbed. And what the hell was I saying? So yeah, just as soon as they're asking, man, but not like, you don't have to do like this, just real subtle. And then they already know what's coming. And then I do a lot of holding up my hand. Like, if they try to launch into the story, I'm not listening to a motherfucking story. I don't care. I don't want to hear it. I've been with the homeless. I've been with the meth heads back at the park, and I know what they're up to. And then they're like, yeah, we're going to the truck stop to go, panhandle. And then they're telling a complete sob story that is not true whatsoever. Right. So I'll just hold my hand up. I'm like, what do you need? Like, I'm not even listening to this. I bet I don't say that. I'm just like, what do you need? And then once I can tell they're asking for something I can't give them or I'm not willing, I'm just like, start doing this. Yeah. Body language. Hey, Mr. Me. Good to see you, bro. Bro, that shit works, man. I'm telling you. It works. And don't let these fools get in your space either. That's another thing. Like with that person. See, I saw that person yesterday that asked me for the cigarette. And I could tell just based on the body language and the presentment, right? I could tell that there was no reason to go near that person. And now some people think, oh, I'm walking down the street going this way, and then there's that person. But it's like 4 in the fucking morning. There's no reason to go. There's plenty of space out here for everybody. There's no reason to get near enough that somebody could harm you, right? But probably they're not going to do anything, but they might. Yep. Car lot right here. Arkansas is if one is just wanting to pay cash for a car, Arkansas is a good place to do that. The prices are pretty depressed. I've already spotted this. Is that a Corolla? I think. Let's see. Do I have to turn the camera around? Yeah, you can tell I'm not a good filmer. Hang on. Now this is one of them buy here, pay here, I guess. But let's see. Turn the camera around. Why StreamYards doesn't have just one button to do this? It makes no fucking sense. I don't understand it. Yeah, like this Corolla. Stuff like that. Maybe not buy from this place, but although this thing looks pretty ragged out to me. This one is a friggin' black bumper. It's Honda. Hey, there's an old Z. Probably not a turbo. I wouldn't imagine. They had a Kia out here I was looking at one point. Kia Soul. Actually, I got a couple of them maybe. There's Johnny's transmission. I was thinking about getting my clutch work done over there maybe. Here at Johnny's transmission. We can see that sign. Catch up on the comments. There you go, Gary. Yeah, put the middle finger up in the face. Well, and I will tell you this, man, like anytime I had to approach people, okay, let me back up. Anytime I put myself in a position where I had to approach people, it wasn't, it was because of my choices. And I hate to be bothered. You know, if I, especially because I'm, oh shit, did y'all see that? Especially because I'm deep in thought much of the time. I hate it when just somebody comes out of nowhere and interjects themselves into whatever I'm doing. Hate that shit. So I'm also, you know, cognizant of that. That's great, Gary. Indeed, sir. Um, indeed. See, I'm cognizant. See, I've already forgotten what I was saying. What the fuck was I talking about? I have no idea. See, this is what I'm talking about. It's just going to get worse and worse, unfortunately. So appreciate y'all's patience and understanding. Damn, dude, I love this lightning. This is awesome. Way more impressive. Yeah, man. Especially this side of Arkansas, close to Oklahoma. Get some pretty wild ass storms out here. Definitely. Ah, forgot the body cam. Needed to bring the body cam. That's all right. Okay. Well, anyway, whatever I was talking about. Oh, when I had to ask people for stuff. So there was times when I would have a gas can and I would just kind of hang out by the gas pumps, like at Walmart, you know, the Murphy USA. And then I would use my skills in profiling and body language to assess, you know, who to go up and ask. And I would be like, hey, man, could you help me out, you know, with a cup, you know, with some gas or whatever. And this one time, I guess I misread him. And, you know, some people don't really feel like they have the option of saying no, but they really don't want to help. And dude sprayed my shoes and the lower part of my pants with the gas. Like he agreed. What the fuck? Yeah, he agreed. And then, but then when he bent down to put the gas in he acted like he was making a mistake and just sprayed me with gas. It was not much fun. Meanwhile, what could I do? I was just had to pretend like it was an accident, right? Because I'm the one, you know, imposing on him. Yeah, good old Johnny's transmission may be replacing my clutch here soon. Yeah. All right, let's get back to me. Back to me. Camera. This is stupid if I do this way. I got your email, Music Code the Secret. I haven't gotten to read it yet. Oh yeah, nasty storms in WV. I know, dude. I love it. I love it. I don't have too much. I just better than sitting around, right? Although I'm not really exercising. I'm just wandering around and stopping. There you go. He's a Music Code the Secret says when he did smoke, he went to bars drinking, had to buy an extra pack for the bums. That's right. Well, and ultimately, if you think about it, like if somebody's decided that they're going to have a cigarette habit, I mean, it then becomes their responsibility to get the cigarettes and have them ahead of time. But same thing with me and gasoline, I suppose, right? Slow boy whiteboard in the house. Good to see you. Yeah. I'm not recording y'all. I'm recording me. People driving by. Lavaca. Lavaca. Yeah. Yeah, that's in the area here. That's kind of out in the middle of nowhere. Even more so than this place. But yeah. I don't know that I've been to Lavaca. I think that's how they say it here. Or I've probably been through it at some point. Yeah. Walking. Oh yeah, no, dude. Yeah. I love to walk, and that was one of my favorite things about my former lifestyle, living in the streets. Because, like, this is not an exaggeration, man. It was 10 miles a day on foot every fucking day. Like, no bullshit. With a 35-pound ruck. I used to be in such just amazing physical condition. But 10 days is over. And realistically, if somebody wanted to get in really good shape, just strapping on a ruck and hiking, brisk walking, is about the best thing one can do. Oh, there's another Longhorn. I was telling y'all about that. I'm not even going to turn the camera around. Yeah, I might have to give them the downward hook 'em horn. I might have to give them the. It's probably a Mexican though. It's almost always a Mexican when they got the Longhorn on their car. What's happening, Roy? Good to see you, bro. Chilling, chilling. And yeah, like I said before, y'all might want to hold off on the super chats. What's up, brother? Didn't mean to startle you. Y'all might want to hold up on the super chats because I think I'm going to be able to get the money, but who knows, man? Realistically, I don't really trust any of this fucking Alphabet, Google, YouTube help hit nonsense. So thanks to everybody that's donated thus far, right? Popo, a lot of popo out and about. They haven't really given me a second look. That's good. Yeah, man, and that's one thing about living in the country, man, is depending on the roads and what's going on, there may not be anywhere to go for a walk. I remember at one point, because me and ex-wife number two were kind of off again, on again, especially before she would be living in Arkansas, and then after I started, vagabonding, I was kind of back and forth for a while. I'd be gone for months at a time, and then I would come back and stay with her. So like she had gotten this apartment one time, and you could not walk. The walk score was 0. You could not walk to anywhere. Meanwhile, it was actually in the city limits, right? It wasn't like out in the fucking county somewhere. But Arkansas has a lot of roads with no, just the road and ditches on both sides. And then, so it's like, yeah, I could walk on the road till a car comes. Now I'm down in the ditch. And, I told her, I said, next time you get an apartment, if you want me to come stay, you gotta get a place where I can walk this stuff. I mean, this is crazy. I'm trying to stay away from all that as much as possible, Gary Baxter. And I know it's very inconvenient to the people who do want to donate, but the reality is, and look, I'm not lecturing y'all on finance. I'm saying when 08, 09 happened, I lost all interest in accessing any sort of traditional banking services, any of these financial apps. I have a prepaid debit card because, in long haul trucking, it's basically, it just can't work as far as me, getting a paper check and trying to cash it. That's just not going to happen. So I have a prepaid. I used to have that Walmart money card, but then my account info got stolen. And I mean, the actual account number and routing number got stolen. And there's no version of calling an Indian at a call center, in India and trying to explain to them that no, even if you give me a new card with a new credit, a new debit card number, they're still going to steal my funds, right? They can't understand that I need an entirely new account number. So now I have NetSpend, but yeah. I had Venmo at some point. There was, when I was doing podcasts, the Nightmare Dystopia podcast, someone sent me $100 on Venmo, and I was actually able to get the money. So I don't know, man, but I'm trying to stay away from that bullshit. Well, indeed, Gary, and I've talked about getting a PO box. The thing is, I don't have my affairs in order yet, so I don't really know where I'm going to be. So that makes it hard to get a PO box right now. There's like Walmart to Walmart transfers, but then now we get into the inconvenience of people having to go to a physical location, especially as so many people are just kind of out in the middle of nowhere, right? And then Amazon's become so unreliable. I don't know that I even want to continue ordering on Amazon. So I was getting Amazon gift cards for a while, but I don't know, man. It'll work itself out, I'm sure. I would assume. Music holds a secret. If I go for a walk here, I need to be more concerned with wild animals and people. Well, as long as there's somewhere to walk, that's what I'm saying. If somebody's on a piece of property, there may or may not be somewhere to just go take a walk, right? So yeah, as long as you have terrain that's walkable, sure, absolutely. But we'll figure it out. It's a good problem to have, right? Yeah, that's true, Gary. I think that's right. And like I say, if I end up staying in one, if I end up settling here, of course I'll get a PO box, or maybe even like a UPS store, but probably, yeah, probably just get a PO box, most likely. Um, yeah, I wouldn't mind being able to. I would love to just be able to get some kind of part-time job, especially if I end up doing this my status select, that like highly suspect did. Especially if I can keep 100% of my money. Uh, I'm sure I could find, even in this economically depressed town, and Arkansas being damn near dead last in the country in median household income, I'm sure I could find some kind of $12 an hour job that wouldn't really be too taxing. And then I could also, if I got to actually keep all of the $12, and I'm the type of person I wouldn't mind working 5 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's be 35 hours, right? I don't need an entire day off, but I'm not trying to rejoin the rat race, that's for sure. You could do Walmart, Mr. Me. Yeah, absolutely. And thank you, by the way, for your generosity. Um, the easiest way, if y'all want to do a Walmart to Walmart, is you just got to tell them Jason Benton, and that I live in Arkansas, and then whatever they'll give you a code, whatever that transaction code is. You just have to email me the transaction code, and then I can go down there and get it. There is a fee, but it's actually really reasonable. We're missing some cool lightning too here. It's a bummer. I be able to see the cool lightning, right? Yeah, I think on 100 it's like $6 or whatever. And you could even just do like, if you had 100, you could say, hey, I want to send. I've got $100. I want to send it to my buddy, but I'll take the fee out of it, right? So that way I'm not. You're not paying $106 to send me 100. You'd be giving them 100, and then I would receive like 94 or whatever it is. And I haven't priced it lately. Well, and then this is why I really wish I had that Walmart money card still, because if other people have Walmart money card, you can actually send money through their app with no fee. It's crazy, man. Uh, and somebody stole my fucking account info, bozos. Oh, wait a minute. I already read that one. Yep. So, yeah, thanks. Like I say, well, I'll do what I'm able to do, and um, I'll check into some of these apps. A lot of it is, for me, has been the whatever address verification they wanted to do, and then with me not having a fixed address necessarily, and all of those factors. Right. Let me switch this camera, show y'all some more lightning. Camera. Too much. Too much. Lot. Part-time job. There you go. Yeah, man. There's a lot of stuff I could do, and realistically, some sort of online job. But I don't know, man. It seems like most of that stuff is just set up to, require long hours, and I'm not doing any more. I've done enough call center work in the past. I'm not fucking with that anymore. I'm not trying to talk to random people on the phone anymore. But and I type 80 words a minute. I don't know if y'all are aware of that, but I'm actually pretty quick on a computer. So, in spite of what you may have seen yesterday when I went live from the library, that was a fucking Ordasco, if there ever was one. Yeah, man. Love the lightning. I wouldn't mind some thunder, man. Wouldn't mind some thunder while we're at it. Now, do I even want to talk about the toilet bowl earth stuff? I think I'll talk about that on the actual broadcast from my computer later, probably. Yeah, well, it is only because it is better, but at this point, only because Amazon's become so unreliable. Because I do need some stuff from Amazon. And somebody sent me $100 Amazon gift card, and I bought a monitor, for $100, LCD or whatever LED portable monitor, and that's helped a lot. Having two monitors made a huge difference for the broadcast. Well, thanks, Mr. Me. You're a I don't even know what to say. People say that I'm humbled by that, and I'm like, is that really the correct term? I don't know. I'm not sure there's a word to describe, whatever feeling I have when people are generous enough to help me out. And just so y'all know, I historically have helped people out, especially once I went back to truck driving. I've done a lot of helping people out. You see, it's funny how I touch my nose. It's like suddenly my nose starts itching, and now it's just somebody trained in body language, it makes it appear like I don't believe what I'm telling you. It's funny how that works, right? Like I don't have an itchy nose, but right then my nose starts itching. Bizarre. I covered that earlier. Never take the jab. And good to see you. I'm trying to avoid any of these financial services as much as possible. And we bitch about Twitter and all these lefties. Well, Cash App, that's the guy that used to be the head of Twitter. That's his thing. And then we complain. Not we, but oh shit, a lot of people know. Man, crazy lightning back there. I'm gonna have to just point the camera. Yeah, Mo. I'm gonna have to point it straight ahead. Crazy lightning. But it is a bit of a disconnect for me, with me spending an entire year studying the 08-09 financial crisis, and I was watching Alex Jones every day back then, and he's talking about food shortages and medical tyranny and all of this, and then people are all mad at the banks and too big to fail, but then now just everybody just continues to use those banking services, right? So people could say, oh well, I have to. Like, well, I mean, I think we all make our own choices, but it is possible to live one's life without involving a large financial institution. Well, and see, that's the thing is, and I think this is an excellent point. And I'm not criticizing anybody in particular, but I have a critical nature. I'm critical by nature. So what I would say about that is, you can see how the system hobbles us. Like, as a young person who was really good at reading, and I had damn near a photographic memory, and I was really into books. I used to be an excellent speller. Well, with all these years on computers with spell check, I'm not able to spell a lot of the time. I spelled disingenuous correctly recently, but I couldn't tell it was right. I had to, after I typed it, I was like, I'm pretty sure that's right. But then I had to copy and paste it like into Google to make sure I spelled it correctly. See what I'm saying? And I feel that way about some of these apps. It's like once they get us on the app, it seems like that does sort of hobble us in some kind of way, if that makes sense. But do what's best for you. None of this is advice. I'm critiquing, like the larger system, right? I'm not. I'm in no way suggesting what anybody should or shouldn't do. And the reality is, as much as I'm standing on my principles with respect to having a checking account, although technically I do because of this prepaid debit card, but because this prepaid debit card, what those people were turning, and the reality is, back in my online poker days, I had an account with U.S. Bank, and I figured out that they would intentionally let me overdraft. This is way before that overdraft protection or whatever. They would intentionally allow me to overdraft my account up to a certain amount. So since I was engaged in compulsive gambling, At some point I maxed out whatever. It's basically like a line of credit in a way, right? So I maxed that shit out, told them to fuck off, never paid it. And because of the Patriot Act, I'm literally in a database that says I cannot have a checking account. Yeah. So as much as I'm like, yeah, fuck the banks. Well, and then it's debatably you could say, well, Benton knew he was going to peace out anyway, so why not? And I don't give a fuck about credit, so why not? Why not go ahead and get something out of it? But you know, I understand how the mind works. And then yeah, fuck PayPal. By the way, fuck PayPal. Those motherfuckers. I will use PayPal as long as I don't have to have an account and log in. They did, I don't even remember what they did to me. They did something to me back in the day, and I was like, fuck this, I'm out. And that's with me, I'm so intolerant of these platforms. The first time they do something to me, I'm just gone, generally. Same thing happened with Twitter. Dude, I've got a mind for Twitter, or I used to. The first time they locked my account on Twitter was because I'm so fast with the reading and replying that they thought I was a robot. So then I got my account opened back up, and then I got suspended based on the content of my opinions. And I was like, well, I'm obviously not going to be using Twitter, so I deleted my account. And that was the end of that. And by the way, their loss. I even got retweeted by Joe Rogan one time. And that's based on the strength of my take, right? So, you know, not that that glorifies me. My point is, like, I'm just super fucking good at that in a certain context. So that's their loss. Fuck them. It's not my loss. Twitter's a fucking cesspit anyway. And I'm getting behind in the chat, so my apologies. Yeah, hey, and by the way, if y'all don't believe in sending money to YouTube, please don't send a super chat. For me, especially since I like attention and I like to be recognized, for me personally, it's worth the 30% to send the content creator money, and then at the same time, I get what I perceive as value in being recognized during the live stream, right? But yeah, if your principles say fuck YouTube, I'm not giving them money. Good for you. I've got YouTube Premium, you know. So on some level, I'm not even practicing what I preach across the board. I'm picking and choosing. So, you know, I can't be mad at anybody for wanting to use Cash App. And then, you know, maybe I will at some point. We'll see. I'm not saying never. I'm not saying never. And then I'm not a huge fan of the, you know, we know that this stuff's being tracked and all of that. You know, I understand that I'm being observed and you know, that I'm literally talking to y'all through, I'm essentially speaking directly into the government database while I'm talking to you folks. This is all well known, but my thing is, if I'm going to remain outspoken, which I am, you know, at what point do they shut my shit down because I'm saying certain things? Well, I don't want money. I don't want people sending me money on Cash App, and then, you know, because I haven't used the money yet, and then they start telling me, well, based on your activity, you know, we're gonna seize your funds or freeze your account. I need to get the money immediately in order to avoid, you know, such a thing. Ask the people in Cyprus who woke up one day and they did a bail-in, and they gave everybody a haircut. They gave everybody a haircut over a certain amount. So people who had over a certain amount of money in the bank, they just took that shit overnight, right? So we all kind of got to manage it for ourselves, you know. I'd really like to do the crypto thing, but then I also understand a lot of folks who like the convenience. Although maybe now here's a question for you: if somebody sends me in Cash App, can I just immediately cash out in crypto without having to have a checking account? You know, without having to have all these things, right? Can I just immediately have the money sent to a crypto wallet? That might be worth doing. Yeah, listen to this. He said, yeah, AT&T stopped his discount for auto pay. They want me to change it to my bank account. Well, this is what I'm saying. It's like, yeah, it's all of these services are great right up until they're not. And yesterday we played that clip from Croco, that his hour, he had an hour long D Live that I saved in my hard drive. Well, D Live initially let Croco do and say whatever the fuck he wanted, right? But then once their user base got developed, oh, well, here comes the censorship. Same thing's going to happen with Rumble. Any platform out there, that's what's going to happen. So, as much as back in the day I said that I wasn't going to put my content on YouTube, when Drew put me on back in the day, the reality is any platform I go to, it will become YouTube at some point at the level of the censorship. See, I'm sure Rumble's great right now. It's not going to be in the future. There's no way that will continue. It's just literally not possible. In my view, these are my opinions, right? This is not something that can persist. And I'm not going to be controlled and bossed around and told what to do, because I do have some level of oppositional defiance in my personality, and it served me well. Now, when O'Shea comes on the broadcast and we have that awkward exchange with, you're looking at, part of that is just me being defiant, and part of that is just, I'm not necessarily willing to go where he's trying to take it. And then my manner of conveying that is not a good manner. That's where the stridence comes in that we talked about. Whereas I've noticed Paul, has more or less communicated it with O'Shea, and that's, he's communicated those things to him, but he's done it in a much more pleasing manner. I do suffer arguably for just the way I come across, but I prefer to be just a direct, straight shooter. It works better for me. And then then we get into, when we're communicating with people, the more congruent we are with our personality, as far as things that line up with our personality, the more effective it is. See, I can just directly tell people shit, whereas other people kind of have to, be a little more covert. It's because of their personality. So I think where I get in trouble is that a lot of times when I'm being nice and accommodating, that's really me being, it's not a genuine part of who I am. It's because of the way I was, raised up culturally, and then also, the whole Jehovah's Witness thing. And then talking to Nachiketa yesterday about the disassociation, and I could tell Notch was really, and it's okay, like it helps the broadcast, right? I do need people that can come up here and talk, and Tommy has seemingly moved on to other venues, and he drains my energy too much. He's really too draining for me to talk to, so I kind of need Notch to come up and sort of just take over for 30 minutes, but I had a lot to say about when he brought up the DID, dissociative identity disorder, and all of this. And, we were talking about Fritz Springmeier. And, I've read his book, How the Illuminati Create an Undetectable Mind Control Slave. And the reality is, and I don't know if it's this way now, and I think this ties in with what Yurt's covering about the MK Ultra platform. But in the past, in order to actually put a human being under MK Ultra mind control, it necessarily required another human being to actually, or collection of human beings to actually program the person, right? So the MK Ultra type of stuff, it's most effective on a person with a high capacity for disassociation. So dissociation, you hear people say disassociation, it's actually dissociation is the word. It's a dissociative state. Well, I'm able to access those, for better or for worse, I can get into a dissociative state very easily, but not, thank God, not in a way where I have an actual, disorder. I don't have any disorders, thank God. And but I have a smattering of this and that, right? And so when I, go into a Walmart in upstate New York, and they're fucking mask Nazis during the fake pandemic. And I start acting a fool in the Walmart because they're aggressively trying to get me to put a mask on. I mean, very aggressively. And generally, if somebody calls the cops on me, I've got a really good like timer in my head for how long it's going to take the cops there to get there. Well, the fucking New York State Police got there in record time. It was crazy. And they cuffed me. They just cuffed me right away. And my ability to access a dissociative state, that's the only thing in my view that I was actually able to talk myself out of the cuffs, believe it or not. And part of that was I was truck driving and my big rig was on the other side. And thank God I didn't have my pistol on me. Dude, I would have gone to jail for sure and been charged. Thank God I left my pistol in the truck, but that would have been a bad time for old Benton. Probably would have been the end of my lack of a criminal record. Certainly. But, it's like it's a damn near an out of body experience, right? Like, because y'all know how forceful I am. Y'all know how I can get worked up over seemingly nothing. But then when something really big and stressful and hard to deal with comes along, I handle it with ease much of the time. And it's because I'm going into some sort of dissociative state, at least temporarily, right? And I'm aware of it. And it's crazy, man. It's just, it's bizarre, right? It's a bizarre experience. But, having this, obviously, being a defiant type of person, indomitable, volatile, loose cannon, but then just being able to go from more or less having a war of the words with the management at a Walmart to then here's the New York State Police and flipping that switch and just chilling the fuck out, completely relaxing my physicality, and then talking to them, even though otherwise I would have been in a very heightened emotional state. I was actually able to just very calmly communicate with them like, hey man, I'm a truck driver, like I'm going to lose my job if y'all arrest me, I'm happy to just get the fuck out of here. I fell on my sword. They were like, because then they want to lecture like, why didn't you just put the mask on? Meanwhile, one of them wasn't wearing a mask. So, if I'm in my normal state, then I'm going to be like, well, you're not wearing a mask. And it's going to end up being a big war of words. And at the end of the day, I'm going to jail. The rig is eventually, if I can't get out of jail, the rig's getting towed. I'm losing my job. Now I'm in fucking New York State. Got to get back home. Don't have a home. All my belongings in the truck. You see what I'm saying? So immediately I knew, okay, like this has to be handled. And if they arrest me, they arrest me. Like I don't control that part of it, right? And technically that's an arrest. And this is shout out to Kim Before the Storm who understands this. They can say, they can cuff you and say you're just being detained. They can say that shit all they want. That is an arrest legally. It's the thing is, what they mean is we're not taking you to jail and booking you necessarily. Like that's what that means, right? But when that's an arrest, period. It's just, that is what that is. Yeah, and I don't get credit for these things, and that's okay. I've accepted it. Never Take the Jab says, yeah, Benton, first dude to make me like Tommy. That was a legendary day. Well, and see, I never get credit for this, except right now I'm getting credit for it. So thank you for noticing. And for some reason, I facilitate a lot of this stuff on some level, and hardly anybody notices. So thank you for noticing. I am unappreciated in some regard. All right. Which is okay. I'm fine with it. And some of that is just being early to it's not even that I did anything. I just, if the whole community, so-called is going to arrive at the conclusion that, well, actually Tommy has some redeeming qualities and he's entertaining and we like to listen to him. I didn't create that. Maybe I just recognized it a little earlier. And then I don't give a fuck what people think. So like the first time when Tommy first started coming to the channel, the chat almost staged a fucking mutiny. And I don't care. My thing is, if I see the person's talent and I see the value, I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks. It's not my problem, right? Oh, I don't go to Costco, if you're talking to me. I don't have a Costco card. The only time I've been to Costco was in Isla Vista. And see, now I'm doing this. Well, I've obviously been to Costco more than once. See, now I'm not even telling the truth. See how it happens again? But the only times I've been to Costco was to eat their, back when I could eat Polish dogs and slices of pepperoni. I'd go get me a pepperoni slice, a Polish, and a soda pop, a sody water, right? For less than $5. For a homeless person, that's good eating right there. But I've never shopped at Costco. I've delivered to Costco's numerous times. Uh, Probably 10 times I've pulled loads to a Costco. Well, y'all can talk about food if you want down there. But Trump coin, I want to point out that uh, almost every time anybody has made a suggestion with respect to health, I've already tried it. See, when we talk about intermittent fasting, when I talk about that I'm typically ahead of the curve, I was doing intermittent fasting before many people ever heard of intermittent fasting, right? So most of the stuff, I'd say 90% of everything that you could possibly, any of you could possibly recommend, I've already done it. And I know it's annoying, like, because most people aren't ahead of the curve in that way. So it can be annoying to have certain knowledge and then to run up against somebody that already knows all of that knowledge. That's me. I already know the vast majority of anything you could tell me. And I've already done or am doing the vast majority of what anybody can tell me. See? So then what I run into with people is they've developed certain patterns based on being around a bunch of morons in the real world. And what that results in is that generally somebody like Trump coin always has superior knowledge to the bozos that they interact with in real life. So none of those patterns that have developed over time are based on, hey, I've run into Benton. Not only does he already know this, he knows more about this topic than I do. And he's done more of these practices than I have. And whatever practices I've also done, he did them before I did. You see what I'm saying? A lot of people can't adapt to finally meeting that person. I am that one. See, I am that one. And that's just facts. So I think a lot of where I get annoyed with people trying to give me advice is it's not that they're trying to give me advice. That's great. I understand that people want to help. It's when I put the wall up and make it known that you cannot help me and all you can do is annoy me. See? And I'm probably being trolled, which is fine, but it does make for a good discourse, arguably. But you see how these dynamics work. But then I look at the name Trump coin and I know somebody's garbage. Because if you haven't figured Trump out by now, you really can't tell me anything. I mean, realistically, there's nothing for me to learn from you other than by mistake, meaning I can observe you and learn lessons that you're not trying to teach me, right? That's a possibility. But what cannot happen is a meeting of the minds in which in which somebody named Trump coin is gonna have superior knowledge in these areas. It's literally impossible. And I'm a 99 ASVAB guy. And do you know what the ASVAB is? That's the exam to enter the military. Now I was never in the military, or well, we'll get to that at some point. That'll come out. I went to boot camp at one point, but that's a whole nother story. But I was never in the military, if that makes sense. And probably doesn't. But point being, 99 is the highest possible score on the ASVAB. So when people say, were you in the military? Did you serve? No, I'm military minded. See, it comes naturally to me. I'm military minded. Now, did they MK Ultra my ass and put all that in me? I don't fucking know, bro. I know when I was living in the streets with nothing, there was times when I was like special motherfucking forces, Jack. Like I did shit that I really was never taught, and there's really no explanation for how did I do that, looking back on it. But it's just, it was either, those aspects were either given to me by the Most High, or, there's some combination of I got mind controlled, and also, some of it comes naturally as a part of my personality. Like I was born with an ability, or maybe they MK Ultra'd me. Because if anybody knows about this, how the Illuminati create an undetectable mind control slave, some of that is they give the the person being put under the mind control, they give them special abilities, right? Or, did I have some kind of proclivity that they detected and then they enhanced it? Because I had effectively had a photographic memory as a young person. That's not an exaggeration. And it's not so much now, but I really have read thousands of books, and I read the newspaper. I've been reading the news every day, not listening to it, not watching it, reading the news every day, going back to the 80s. And then again, my best friend, who was also in the Jehovah's Witnesses, this dude started reading the newspaper at age 3. I'm not exaggerating. I learned to ride a bicycle at age 3, never had training wheels. So, how much of this stuff is just in us naturally, and how much of it is being brought out and enhanced through the program? I don't know. I can't tell. But so when I read, right? So let's say I look at a page in a book. And this, again, because I'm getting older and because I don't read as much and because, I'm having these cognitive problems because of my illness. This is not as apparent, but so when I look at a page in a book, historically, when I was 14, my brain more or less takes a snapshot of the entire page. But then immediately when it does that, I know exactly where and I still do this to some degree when I read an article. My brain knows exactly where the relevant information is, and it discards everything that doesn't fucking matter. And then I only put the relevant information in my brain, right? I don't know that people can learn how to do that. Now, was I born with that? I don't know. But I know my classmates couldn't do that, right? But it just comes naturally to me. I don't know why. And again, I'm still able to do that to some degree. So when I said I read 50 news articles a day during the pandemic, well, about the pandemic, that's true and it's not true, because I did not read every word. I looked at the page, immediately gathered the relevant information, and memorized it effortlessly. Things Benton can do, by the way. So this made school extremely easy for me. And I went to school in Arkansas. It was easy as fuck anyway, right? So anyway, here I am talking about myself. But, I don't know, and if y'all get something out of that, great. If not, it's just, at the end of the day, I'm just some guy walking around, yapping. But then, like Toilet Bowl, he did a stream last night, and I tried to watch it, but increasingly, I just can't even watch these people. And he's probably one of the biggest hypocrites there is, which is fine. Show me a human, I'll show you a hypocrite, including me. But he's wanting to say, oh well, I guess Benton's over there trying to be interesting. No, sir, I'm not trying. I do it effortlessly, all day, everywhere, all day, every day, everywhere I go. Now, is it because the cult programmed me to be able to communicate certain ways? I don't know. But I know this: I've never not met people that found me interesting. It's just, and I don't try to be. If I tried to be interesting, I probably wouldn't be interesting. And the proof is in the pudding. The proof is in the pudding. We can see the results. But who cares, right? We all have our own unique talents. I'm super fucking bad at many things that y'all may very well be very good at. I don't know. I have no idea. But it's an advantage in many ways to be able to do those things. I guess Z's probably live now, so anybody that wants to check Z out, hey, no guilt. I'm just walking around shooting my fucking mouth off. So if Z's over there, hey, I encourage you to go over there. If I had the technology, I'd be watching him. If the technology would work that way. Well, and I think it's jealousy, in my opinion. Now, I'm not one of the, I don't really care about, okay, never mind. Let me back up. His emotions are not my concern. But clearly I am interesting. I mean, I believe that that's just a fact. And it seems like it can be verified. And see, people, and I've said this before, everyone always reveals themselves over time. Well, that includes me. Well, I think some part of him doesn't like that people respond to me in a certain type of way that they don't respond to him in, right? So it's not what Benton's doing, it's what Toilet Bowl Earth's not doing. It's not what Benton is able to do, it's what TBE can't do. Meanwhile, he really is some sort of creative genius. I don't know, I haven't figured out exactly what, but there's no doubt. You know, even just some of that stuff I played yesterday where he was, you know, lampooning me. And you can tell he does that shit effortlessly, like high level creative, artistic type of content. You can tell he does it like effortlessly in 5 fucking minutes. But, you know, I could be like, oh, yeah, Toilet Bowl's over there trying to be creative and trying to make art. But see, if I said that, that would be based on me perceiving something in him that I'm lacking, right? Well, I know I've probably got a double-digit IQ, right? Most likely. I might be one of the only people in human history to, my IQ might be lower than my ASVAB score. I might have a 98 IQ and a 99 ASVAB score. I know because after I made the 99, and then when a person makes a 99, I'm qualified for every job, right? Except there's some other even more high level jobs that they give an IQ test for. Well, I took the IQ test, and I asked the recruiter what the results were, and just based on his facial expressions, he wouldn't tell me how I did, but just based on my facial expressions, you could tell it was almost like he was confused how I could make a 99 on the ASVAB, but my IQ might have very well been 90 fucking 6 or something, right? And they put me in gifted and talented. I think it was in 6th grade. It was me and like 6 other kids. They put me in there for a week, and then they gave us IQ tests. They put me back with the regular kids, where I belonged, by the way. Where I belong. Thank God I don't have a high IQ, because I get to be a layperson. You know, if I'd been cursed with TBE's IQ, you know, by the way, who's not getting the most out of his abilities? That guy. You know, why is that? Well, it's not my concern, right? It's not my concern. But then, you know, the first thing out of his mouth is how I muted him in my live chat when me and the Machine Lies were talking about, you know, Paul from the Bible. Meanwhile, and I've got something to say about the Bible, but certainly, because we're done with the Bible around here. That's gone. Now, people can say whatever they want, but this is not a Bible channel. This is not a religious channel. This is not a debate. And, you know, I tune into the replay of TBE stream, and, you know, half of his content is him having a religious debate with somebody, which is fine. That's obviously what he enjoys doing in his spare time. I have never had any desire to debate religion. And I've spent I like talking about it. Intellectually, I like hearing from somebody like the Machine Lies, right? But I'm not interested in any of that. It's just not, I'm really not. And so I've been trying to sort of play the middle. Fuck it, I'm going the other way with it. Fuck the church. Fuck Christianity, man. It's garbage. It's trash. It's harmful. It preys on people. It mind controls them. You know, we can talk about the MK Ultra fucking mind control. You know, we can talk about YouTube as a MK Ultra platform. Well, back in the olden days, before all of these computers, what was the mind control interface? The primary mind control interface, other than society itself, what was that? Religion. Okay? Fuck that. More harm than good. I would say no good. It's just, actually, let's face the reality that in 2023, religion and churches and Christianity in particular is not helping anyone. Nobody, and I mean nobody, including Toilet Bowl Earth, is benefiting, in my view. This is my opinion. I have no way of knowing. Nobody is benefiting in America from going to a church or being a so-called Christian, with some exceptions, right? The Amish, you know, arguably, right? But I'm sure they've got their issues too. But do you hear what I'm saying? And the entire time I've been occasionally sharing my own personal beliefs that are personal to me, or occasionally get into an actual sermon, a short sermon. You know, that's we're not. What's the point? Why? That's for me. It's not for anybody else. So I mean, why even go there? So I've realized the error of my ways, right? And by the way, thank you to Toilet Bowl for helping me get there, because I don't know that I would have come to this realization. So in a way, he's helping me, right? Unlike any of these religions that we see in America. Now, I'm not going to become a Muslim, and I'm certainly not going to join any religion. But I'm just going to say it right now. If you create a binary, and Toilet Bowl's going to love this. I hope he sees it. I'm talking to you right now, Toilet Bowl. I'm not joining either one, but if I was, it's just like Republicans and Democrats. I'm not joining either one. I'm not joining conservatives or liberals. But I'm not joining MAGA or Antifa. But if you made me choose, I'm going Antifa. You know why? Because MAGA is trash, and Antifa is at least able to organize and actually further their fucking crazy ass communist goals, while MAGA fucking struts around like their shit don't stink and like they still got balls, while their woman runs their life, right? While their church not only doesn't help anything in this realm, it actually makes it worse, see? But I'm not going to be forced into a binary where I have to choose. So if you made me choose between Islam and Christianity, I'm going Islam, Jack. How about you? Number one is they don't let their women run them. And a man ain't a man, got a woman for a boss. They don't let their women run them. They damn sure don't let their kids run them. Hell, half these so-called Christians out here, their kids are in charge. And the man, it's the kids, the woman, and the man in that order. It's completely inverted for most Christians. It's dog, fucking child, woman, and the man is at the very bottom. Yeah. Islam ain't like that. But I ain't joining none of it. And meanwhile, do you think it's a coincidence that when I tuned in last night, it's 3-on-1, and it's a long-suffering, patient, peaceful, for the most part, the machine lies, being, sitting there calmly for the most part while his religion is attacked over and over. And then Toilet Bowl comes to my channel and just goes on the attack and makes it seem like I'm doing something wrong for letting the machine lies speak freely. But then I go on Toilet Bowl's broadcast, and there's the machine lies. Like, this is the type of garbage we're talking about. And that's just a trash human being that I don't want anything to do with. And, if you look at the Bible, and if you look at, and it's not a Bible channel, but like the Good Samaritan, Toilet Bowl is the one who will walk right past you. Benton is the one who, I don't talk about it, but I've found people who needed to be helped, and money wasn't going to help them. Somebody needed to directly help them, and I helped them directly, meaning I changed the tire on their rusted out van, and it actually, my thumbnail got infected in the process. My fucking thumbnail fell off and had to grow back. That was no fun. And I put a spare on their van, and I drove in my car, had them follow me to the tire shop, and I put 2 used tires on their van. It didn't mean shit to me. I had plenty of money at the time. What was it, $100 out the door? Might have been $80. Meanwhile, these people were trapped in that Walmart parking lot. Now, some people might say, well, why couldn't they change their own tire? Why couldn't they resolve these issues? I don't know. They seem to be going through something with alcoholism and just personal problems where they weren't able to. I don't fucking know. Now, as far as I'm concerned, whatever it was that led me into their path and vice versa, that's what I would refer to as the Most High. So why even talk about it? You can call it the universe. You can call it, love. You can call it whatever you want to. We're using the English language, and we're using terminology given to us to describe certain phenomena, right? Thanks, man. Yeah. Well, and I can't be around people who he understands, because I went into his live chat, I made 2 posts and he muted me. That's the part I left out. So the same person who will mute me after 2 posts will then go on and complain he literally called me a communist for muting him in his chat. He's not an honest person. He's not living up to these principles that he claims to live up to. Well, when a person is incapable of living up to those principles, doesn't it make sense that they would so forcefully and aggressively adopt religion? See? It's a way to be, it's a way to identify and connect with something to supersede the fact that if somebody's in the Walmart parking lot, yeah, maybe he'll kick them a couple of dollars, but all they're going to do is keep getting drunk and keep buying booze in the Walmart parking lot, and eventually they're going to go to jail, which is actually what happened. While all this was going on, one of them went to jail. Yeah, it was like three. I think it was like 3 or 4 people. It was in Alma, Arkansas, which is not far from here. And the people in Alma, they're generous people, but they don't have the time, or they're embarrassed to be seen by. And meanwhile, I don't know anybody there. I don't live there. Maybe they're embarrassed because the Walmart, everything revolves around the Walmart there in Alma. Maybe they're embarrassed to be seen down changing somebody's tire on a rusted out van with some goddamn hippie drunks, right? Meanwhile, what did the Lord do, right? In the Bible, same thing. And again, it's not a Bible channel. We're not going to be talking about those things. What would Buddha do? Okay. Now, and see, I can say this till I'm blue in the face, and I know I said it's not a Bible channel, and now we're talking religion. But I want to finish up on this, and then I want to move on. And I guess I need to get this off my chest anyway. But, fuck, I forgot what I was going to say. Probably better. But what was I going to say? Anyway, it'll come to me in a minute. Hey guys, it's Matt, by the way. What's up? Hey guys, it's Matt. Oh. Anyway, probably doesn't matter. Totally forgot my train. And this is just going to get worse over time, y'all. This is what I was like when I first got off the booze and I was rehabilitating myself just enough to go back to truck driving. This is how I was. Scatterbrained, could not concentrate. Historically, I have fantastic focus and concentration. And now they will come back to some extent, but the short-term memory, I think it might be a wrap on the short-term memory. But who knows? Hard to say. But see, I completely forgot why I even launched into that last part. I have no idea. No idea. And that's the most important thing to me. And in fact, that was a big reason why I got off the booze anyway, is because I could see, even in my drunken stupor, right? Even in my alcohol fucking addled state, I could see that. See you later, Matt. Bye, guys. I could see in my state, even as addled as I was, I could see that if I continued, I was running the risk of ruining my cognitive abilities forever. And I was glad to see them mostly return, although they did not fully return. And somebody like EBT will tell you I was way sharper at the start of the pandemic than I am now. Way sharper. No comparison. But anyway, enough of the religious topics. And I'm pretty sure we're done with that. And I think this is where the toilet bowlers of the world, it's almost like if I'm not submitting to the Catholic Church or the what do they call it, the Orthodox Church, then it's like in his mind, I'm not even allowed to speak on the Bible, right? And then you get down to authority. Well, that's authoritarianism. You're telling me that I can't address the most famous book in human history, arguably? I'm not allowed to refer to that. That's called authoritarianism. And this is what I was talking about on Paul Enslaved broadcast yesterday. I was talking about, because he brought up control, see? And he said these are control freaks. He wasn't talking about TBE, but he kind of was. So where I take it yin and yang, masculine, feminine. And what I realized is once I was so, I remember what I was going to say. Because I grew up in a Christian context with the idea of Jesus and the Holy Spirit, I'm only really ever going to be able to. So if those are real things spiritually that human beings have given title and name to, right, and written books about, well, I'm really only ever going to be able to interface with those concepts in the context of that terminology. See? But then Paul, Unslaved, will talk about some of those same spiritual concepts, but he does it in a different framework or a different context, presumably because he was not socialized within a strictly Christian context, so-called. Now, imagine my frustration, you know, more or less, and I've always told y'all, whatever's coming out of my mouth is about 10% of my understanding, because I am limited in my ability to convey my ideas. So whatever's in here would represent 100% understanding. What I'm telling you is about 10% of that. Okay. And so I'm having access in my own mind to way higher levels than I'm able to tell you guys about, which maybe that's for the best. But I can't do nothing about the fact that I'm always going to think in those terms. Like it is what it is. These guys are good at figuring out how fake this world is, yet religion, Bible, allude. Exactly. Well, and this is one of the many reasons why I have a lot of regard for Music Called The Secret. One of the many reasons is because we had a similar experience, and we were able to directly experience just how harmful religion is directly. Okay, it did a lot of harm to me. Now, I no longer have a grudge. I no longer have resentment against religion, but I know what it is, right? I know exactly what it is. And it ain't what it purports to be. So when I was on with Paul and he's talking about control freaks, well, what I realized in my walk, you know, literally walking the fucking earth for so many years, just thinking, well, and working on myself, well, my growth, almost none of my growth came through accessing the masculine form. It came through learning to utilize the feminine form. So when Paul talks control, I immediately that's the assertive masculine dominant form. Well, everything in this realm, apparently, debatably, but I think it's true, exists in duality. So what's the other? So if control and exists on a spectrum, well, what's the opposite end of control freak? It's someone who is in a state of full surrender. That's the feminine form. And then back to what Paul talks about with the Tao, which I don't view as a religion, I view as a philosophy, Eastern philosophy. Okay. Well, what Taoism would teach, based on my understanding, is right in the middle is where that's the most healthy place for the human. A balance between control and surrender. But meanwhile, we've got people who are only able to access the dominant assertive masculine form. So of course they're control freaks, because that's the only way that they're able to interface with those concepts, because they have never developed the ability to access the feminine aspect or the passive aspect, right? The opposite of assertiveness. And I don't care who you are, and I don't care what you're doing. If you're on a spiritual path, or you're on a philosophical path, or if you're on a path to whatever we might think of as true understanding, you will never reach the zenith of what's possible in this life without fully developing the ability to work with the passive feminine energies. Period. Meanwhile, what does the Christian religion claim to be about? Submission to the will of the Most High. Well, people who can't access the feminine and the passive, they can't access surrender. They can't access submission. So what do? It's one of the major themes of this channel from day one. So because they still have a desire to access these states, what do? They point their energy outwardly to people like Benton, and they try to control me. They try to dominate me. And that can only happen through my own submission. And I don't think it's a coincidence that they end up, the person that they love to fuck with the most is the guy who, if you ask me to describe myself in 3 words, indomitable, well, 4 words, indomitable, volatile, loose cannon, right? Not only am I not going to allow myself to be controlled by another person, I'm probably one of the hardest motherfuckers. Now, I'm not talking about the mind control and the MK Ultra. I'm just talking about it's damn near impossible for another person to impose their will on me. And I'll give you an example. And my mom talks about this to this day. Yep. Well, that may be the case. Musical's a secret. That may be the case. And people don't like when I talk this way. But in the sex freak culture, like the so-called kink community, and I've studied all of that. I haven't participated. Y'all might be surprised to learn I'm actually fairly prudish in my own interactions. I just am. My dad is. I'm that way. We're just that way. But they call that topping from the bottom, meaning it's basically when the seemingly submissive partner is actually running the show from the submissive position. And the dominant partner believes themselves to be in control. Why? Because that's what they need. They need to be made to believe that they're in control. See? Otherwise, they can't function. So what happens is people with this cycle, and it's a psychological illness. We're describing psychological illness now. So what happens with these folks is they're not able to point those efforts inwardly necessarily. So they go around trying to control Benton, which can never happen. It's impossible for a motherfucker to impose their will on me from the dominant or assertive. Now, have I developed blind spots and been controlled from somebody that was in a submissive position while I was in the dominant position? Yeah, probably. I started to observe that ex-wife number 2 had a high level of skill in controlling me in some degree from a submissive stance. But then I figured it out and realized it was happening, and I was able to put a stop to it, right? By the way, how do you stop? How does one stop somebody who's controlling? If I have controlling aspects of my personality, and someone who's really good at psychological warfare covertly, and I'm not detecting the covert control because they're doing it from the submissive form. So it's the opposite of fighting fire with fire. You fight surrender with surrender. So if I refuse to act, now she has nothing to act upon. It's literally that simple. It's strategy, and it comes naturally to me. So once I'm very dense and I'm not that intelligent overall, but once I finally realize what's happening, the counter strategy is obvious to me. So if somebody is arguably outdoing me over time from a submissive or a position of surrender, all I have to do is stop trying to control and dominate. And now we've reached a stalemate or a Mexican standoff. Meanwhile, I'm set up for effectiveness in the real world. She's not. So now we have to get back. Now we have to go into a process of her fully submitting. But then what's she going to do? Over time, she's going to seek to suck me right back in to being controlled by her from the submissive position. Now, until any of these folks go on a live stream and explain these dynamics, I'm just going to go ahead and assume that my understanding is damn near a 100%. 10% of my understanding comes out of my mouth, and their understanding is damn near 0. That's where I'm at with it, right? And the proof is in the pudding, Jack. The proof's in the pudding. Period. Show me, don't tell me. Now, yes, is that irony? Of course it is. Is that a contradiction in terms? Yes, sure it is. Is that a paradox? Of course it is. I'm a dynamic human being. I understand that everything I just said, I do the opposite at times. Do y'all really think I don't know that as I'm speaking these words? The guy who walked, and not you, the listener, just the royal you. Do people really not think that I walked around for 10 motherfucking years? That's hyperbole. It wasn't a literal 10 years. It's me being a tad hyperbolic. But I did it for 6 straight at one stretch. And I did it off and on for several. So I'm gonna call it 10 because it's just I like that number on some level. It sounds better, right? A decade of all of that. Of course I have a high understanding of it. How could I not? It's just like the person who intensely lifts weights for years and years and years. Of course they're big and strong. I don't have to have a high IQ to have It's that I've worked this muscle in here so consistently over time. Okay. And then see the asking of the questions. And I'll get into a Tom Likas because I was a big radio fan back in the day. If anybody remembers Tom Likas, what I would say about that is, do you care, sir? Do you care, sir? So I'm going to answer your question with a question. So answer my question, and maybe I'll answer your question, but probably you will then respond with another question, and we'll just ask each other questions. And see, I'm not good at chess. I'm not good at the game of chess, but I'm really good. When he posts this comment, "Will you ever get married again?" I'm already 7 moves ahead. Now I see the chessboard metaphorically, and I see all the potential moves from this position. See, so now I can, like a Sherlock Holmes, I can engage in a process of deductive reasoning, and I can play a hunch, which, by the way, is poker, not chess, because poker is a game of incomplete information. I'm now playing a game of incomplete information with this person, and I'm most likely more highly skilled at it than them. How about you? So, and I will challenge, and I know Monel's saying this in a context, so I'll do something to Monel that I hate when people do to me. I'll take her comment out of context and say, never stand under anything. Well, guess what, Monel? I'm going to blow your mind. And I know you already know this, Monel, so I'm really not talking to Monel. So because I've talked to Monel enough to know she also has a high level understanding in certain ways, because I've seen it and I've experienced it. But maybe she's limited by the way she's communicating, or maybe she's responding to something I'm not even talking about. But this is something that I was blessed to be taught, and I firmly believe that wisdom is granted and bestowed. It cannot be attained. Now, by the way, Paul Enslaved does not share my viewpoint. Okay, why do we need to agree? I'm speaking in my own experience, and we are using the English language, which is already fraught with peril. But and again, I'm not picking on you, Monel. I love this idea though. So let's use abstraction if we're able to. I have a high ability to access abstraction. So I'm separating what she typed from her as a person. I'm separating those two things. So forget about the part where it says Monel. Let's just pretend like I'm responding to an anonymous poster that says never stand under anything. Well, guess what? Guess what? You can't act on a negative. It's not possible. So you can't tell me not to do something, right? It's like when the little child's running around, and I don't have children. I'm speaking from a perspective of having been a child and having been parented. So when the kid is running around creating a ruckus and might knock something over and might injure itself, what typically happens? What does the parent say? And remember, I grew up in a wholly negative environment. Well, the parent would typically say, don't run. Well, guess what? Your brain can't process a negative. So by saying do not run, guess what message you send to the child? You're telling them to run. So when I was waiting tables, right, and I was holding a tray, okay, and it looked like it was precariously balanced. One time, one of my coworkers, and this one when I was in a much less evolved state, by the way, one of my coworkers says, "Don't drop that tray." Well, the message my brain receives is drop that tray. The do not doesn't exist. It's a negative. It's already negated. See? It doesn't exist. So when you can't tell a child not to run, because they can't act on a negative. Now, what can you tell a child that they can act on? Walk. That's a positive. It can be acted upon. But you see how, and again, not picking on Monel, I'm picking on this idea, and she may not have even meant this because I'm taking her comment out of context. So please understand me there. But thank you for adding to the broadcast in this way. See, this is the contribution. And this is where I also divert from Paul Unslaved is I appreciate the live chatters in this way. See? And there's no need to defend yourself, Monel. I know you understand what I'm talking about. And by the way, Monel don't need to be lectured about the feminine form by a man. Certainly, I wouldn't imagine. I'm sure she's probably ahead of me in a lot of ways. But I'm pointing out the language, and I believe that the English language is set up to cause us confusion and failure in many ways because we're limited by the terminology, right? So in reality, when you say never stand under anything, that's not something that can be accomplished, right? Now, it can be a side effect of something else I may accomplish through the positive assertive form, which would be what? To stand under something. Now, what am I going to stand under? See? So if I'm saying, well, it's not possible to act on a negative, well, what's the positive that I can act upon? I can act on standing under what? My own understanding, if I've taken the time to develop myself enough to have a proper understanding for myself in my life. See, if I can do that, and in my best moments, I embody that, like Paul would say. And now I've never met Paul unslaved. I've never interacted with him. I'm willing to take him at his word and his presentment that he's on a higher level of mastery than me in these regards. Meanwhile, probably not a coincidence that I get a lot out of what he says, like I did yesterday. I got a lot of, and in some way he was talking to me to some of that, and I was aware of that, right? But I have and like I told my dad one time, because my dad got in his feelings about me, what he perceived as me kind of showing off certain spiritual advancement or a certain level of attainment. And I said, look, man, I'm not saying I'm spiritually fucking enlightened. I'm not saying I'm on some high level. I'm saying let's go from a scale of 1 to 10 or a scale of 0 to 10, right? Well, if 10 is complete attainment and oneness with everything, right? Which we may refer to as God, although I'm not even going to probably use that terminology much going forward. If that's the highest level of that, well, if I'm at a 1 and you're at a 0, you can't divide by 0. So of course it seems like I'm portraying myself as some sort of fucking Buddhic figure who's at a 10. It's because he's at a motherfucking 0. Or maybe maybe since then he's gotten to a 1, maybe I'm at a 3. I'm not saying I'm on some fucking high level. I'm saying compared to him, I'm way fucking ahead of him. Meanwhile, I don't feel no type of way. If Paul enslaved is way fucking ahead of me, I'm not threatened by that. Why? Because I want to learn from it. It's for me to take what I can and leave the rest. Meanwhile, I guarantee you this, Toilet Bowl Earth, if I don't know where he's at, he's not at a higher level than I am. And until he demonstrates that he is, I'm not willing to accept that it's possible, see? So why should I even waste my time? I'm not going to waste my time. Now I can't tell him what to do or give him advice, but if he went his way and I went my way, I think it would be better for everybody involved. But see, when Paul Unslaved talks about resistance, there's something to that resistance. That means something for both of us. It's something for me to work on, and it's something for him to work on. And I know that. Now, in my lesser moments, when I fall away from my own practices and my own ability to center myself, if I'm willing to speak in some of the vernacular of Paul Enslaved, which is helpful for me, because I wasn't granted, as much as I've read books, I wasn't granted the ability to just freely express myself effectively in this place. So I will benefit from adopting some of his vernacular, right? Why wouldn't I? Aren't we here to collaborate on some level? As much as I do contend that this is a wholly individual experience spiritually, aren't we here to collaborate and work together and learn from one another in some way? I would be foolish not to attempt. Now, whatever blockage Toilet Bowl Earth is putting up to prevent himself from learning from me, well, I have the same kind of blockage somewhere. It's up to me to find the blockage. By the way, listen, I love this topic, y'all. I love this topic. You know why I love this topic? Because when I detect the blockage, guess what? Society and our own programming, when I talk about our psychology is necessarily a product of this system, we're all indoctrinated and taught, okay, now that I've detected a problem, now that I see a goal to achieve, we're all indoctrinated to only ever attempt to accomplish that through the assertive means. Well, guess what? The blockage is created through the assertive means, meaning the only way to remove the blockage is to surrender or submit on some level by discontinuing the creation of the blockage, and it just goes away. It's called learning how to get out of one's own way. And if there's any one person I've observed who's in his own way, it's Toilet Bowl Earth. So the fact that I'm coming into resistance with him, I know there's something in me that I haven't completely overcome. And by God, when I detect that, I'm not going to waste my time externalizing and trying to transform other people on that basis. In fact, I'm probably doing that right now. The fact that I do have a desire somewhere that, because Toilet Bowl Earth in a vacuum, left to our own devices, is the type of person I would like to have a friendship with. I'm probably creating the blockage based on something that I'm attached to. I'm attempting to get something out of the relationship that's impossible. And for some reason, as much as I talk about non-attachment, I'm clinging to a particular outcome, and I'm probably blinded myself to that. But I don't know yet. The only way for me to learn and discover that is to continue to observe over time, to actually go into myself internally and say, what in the fuck is actually going on in me? It's the only way to do it that I know of. That I know of. Thanks, Monel. Thanks. Appreciate that. But then Toilet Bowl Earth wants to say, oh, Benton's over there trying to be interesting. No, I am interesting. Now we can talk about why is that, and did that come, is that something I was born with? Am I tapping into something outside of myself? It's all debatable, right? But thank you, Gary. And see, I believe when I come on the metaverse and deliver a message like this, I didn't know I was going to say any of this, right? I don't know where it comes from. Again, we can use certain terms and we can call it the universe. You can call it tapping into the fucking, what are the collective consciousness. You can call it the ether. I don't care what you call it. I think we all know what I'm referring to. Thank you very much, Monel. Much appreciated. £5 sterling super sticker. Much appreciated. What's up, Carl? I got something for you, brother. I can't show it to you till I'm on my computer. Carl, I need you to hit me with a burner email if you could. And you don't ever have to respond. I just need to be able to send you emails to a burner email, if you could, or some kind of alias. And I know I'm asking a lot here, but now you can believe that I'm not in a group of hackers or people that are trying to. I'm not, but you know, if you're not willing to go there, that's fine. But that would help me out. Sometimes I come across stuff and I need to communicate it to Carl, but then when I finally see him in my live chat, thank you for being here, Carl. You know, I'm not able to access. It's on my computer what I want to do. Yeah, man. And I want to, Jimbo Khan, just so you know, we don't yet know if YouTube will actually send me the money or not, because I'm such a weirdo when it comes to banking services. So y'all might want to hold off, but most likely I will get the money. So what I would say is small contributions, great. I would refrain from any big contributions. This is not me doing reverse psychology. I promise you. Because I would hate for somebody to send me a significant chunk of money and then have it just get fucking lost in the Alphabet, Google, YouTube's hell pit somewhere. I don't want that to happen. You know, the 30% they take is bad enough without giving them 100. So let's avoid that if we could. Yeah, there you go. Oh, believe me, I do remember Monel, so thank you. But that's still way better than them taking 100. And if somebody sends me $100 and 100 and YouTube ends up with a whole 100, that's a disaster. Yeah, it's the one I post on almost all my. It's in the description of almost all my videos, Carl. And again, I don't need your real email address. I just need, I need one. Just if you just shoot me something that says, "Hey, this is Carl." Although now I guess other people could hear that and potentially try to jump in and pretend to be you. So just say this is Carl and just say something where I'll know for sure it's you. And I know you're smart enough to say some shit. And I know you've listened to me enough. I know you can just drop one phrase and I'll know it's you. And meanwhile, if somebody tries to fake that shit, I'll know they're faking. Isn't that beautiful? It's just like I had a friend who had 2 teenage daughters. and they were getting in trouble. They were like right about the age of 13. They were starting to get in trouble, you know, and they're starting to act out, get involved with boys and all this. And so my friend, in typical double Scorpio fashion, if you've ever met a double Scorpio man, right? A lot of great positive qualities, but very secretive and sneaky in many ways. So what he did was he confiscated their phone, and then he thought that he was going to get in there and pretend to be them and text the friends and get information. Motherfucker sent one text. You know what they said? They said, "Who is this?" All with one text, they knew it wasn't. They knew it wasn't their friend. Isn't that amazing? That we all have. You can call it intuition. You can call it a sixth sense. Whatever you want to call it. We all have access to that. Now, how much do we block it and prevent it from fully expressing? Right? Yeah. Thanks, brother. See, I know Carl knows how to do that. And in fact, I probably didn't even have to say that. He probably just knows to do that. And see, that's what gets me out of bed every morning. You know, that's what, and I get down in the dumps. I went through some kind of depressive episode recently, which I'm not prone to depressive episodes, but, you know, once I realized where I was at, I did what I needed to do to get the fuck up out of that. Some of which was just eat some eggs, because I can't become depressed when I'm producing. It's not possible for me to go into a depressive state while I'm producing normal levels of testosterone for me, right? So just a couple of days with egg yolks, 2 egg yolks a day for like 2 days, and I'm right back to, oh, and when my kidneys really aren't working properly, I can go into a fear space very easily also. So now I'm not trusting what I'm saying, because realistically, I'm never fully in a fear space. So when I say that, what I mean is, let me be specific. I'm more prone to being influenced. My thoughts and actions are more prone to being influenced by my fears when my kidneys aren't working properly. Meanwhile, in some traditions, fear is associated with the kidneys. I don't think that's a coincidence. Thank you, Gary, and that is true. And I believe that I'm one of the few people who's been able to recognize this, because when I got on the internet in 94, what Carl's doing, that's all that was available, was typing at each other through text form. Nothing else was available. So I believe that it seems like Carl and myself are very well versed in that format. So the fact that part of his communication involves something we might refer to as trolling, that doesn't make him a troll. Okay, it's him utilizing particular aspects of the medium, and now we're back to the medium is the message, or the medium is the massage, the Marshall McLuhan. See how it all connects? And the fact that for whatever reason, whatever created me, you know, it either put it in within me, or I just have an ability to tap in where I can abstractly see, but I don't see anything in my mind. See, it's a perception. I'm able to, but I perceive it as if it's like this unlimited space of possibility and chessboard strategy, where somehow I can interface with 10 concepts simultaneously. So if y'all think I'm intelligent, that's my intelligence, not my ability to, you know, figure out how to build a better mousetrap, because I'm a fucking moron when it comes to that. I'm a fucking moron when it comes to stuff like that, literally. It's not my forte. But somehow I can intuitively, I can perceptually interface with a near unlimited fucking space of abstract ideas, and I can extrapolate from all of them simultaneously. Well, whether y'all can or can't do that, whether one can or cannot do that, they can certainly listen to me and possibly gain something from whatever distillation I'm able to convey in my very limited ability. And believe me, when I wander around talking about these topics in this accent and in my limited, especially my limited spoken language, as much as I do have an excellent vocabulary from all the thousands of books, I find it fucking hilarious that this person is the one saying these things. It's fucking hilarious to me. And sometimes some of the things that come out of my mouth, it's just like, I'm just laughing at myself. Yeah. Aquarius in midheaven, of course. I love the astrology stuff, but for entertainment purposes only, of course. What's up, Rob? Good to see you, bro. Shout out to the chat, as always. And you know, when I first started truck driving, I bought a digital audio recorder, and in uncompressed format, it held 50 hours. And I talked in, and it's almost like a CB, right? It's a handheld. And I talked into that thing for 50 hours, although not consecutively, but with no live chat, knowing that nobody would probably ever hear it. And then I got to the end of the 50 hours. I erased the card and I talked for another 50 hours. So on some level, I'm going to do this whether y'all are here to hear it or not. I'm going to do this whether you folks are here or not. Isn't it better for all of us? It certainly makes for a better discourse that I have access to intelligent, thoughtful people's feedback in real time. That's a benefit to me. I'm taking, if I'm arguably giving to y'all, I'm also taking from you, which, by the way, I would say represents an even exchange, meaning nobody is using anybody for their own gratification, which, by the way, isn't that love on some level? Isn't that what we would refer to love as on some level? And anyway, I got to wrap this up. Thank you, Monel. I appreciate you. Appreciate the live chat. I appreciate your super sticker. Certainly appreciate Rob, Music Culture Secret as always, Gary Baxter, you know, everybody. Do we need to name them all? I guess we do. Mr. Me. Oh, yeah, they don't open until 8 in your area? Oh, dude, they open at 6 here. That's crazy. Damn, dude. That's nuts. Anyway, I'm out. I got some business to take care of. Hypothetically, I had some shit to do right at 6, but that's another thing I love about my life right now. Nothing is really pressing. There's no such thing as a pressing matter other than my health. I don't have to go anywhere or do anything that I don't want to do at this time. That might change. Thanks for watching. Bye.